All right, today we are jumping into a wild story of pure ambition and just unbelievable betrayal. This all comes straight from the historical accounts of Flavius Josephus. We're going to see how a really nasty family feud in Judea completely explodes into an international crisis. And it all happens because one man was willing to sell out his entire kingdom. Let's get right into it. Okay, so before we get into the action, you gotta know who's who. This is the cast of characters. First up, you've got the ruling Hasmonean dynasty. That's the traditional Jewish royal family, and it's led by the high priest Hyrcanus II. But his own nephew Antigonus thinks he should be on the throne. Then you have these two incredibly ambitious brothers, Herod and Phasaelus. Now they're Edomean, so some see them as outsiders, but they have a very powerful friend, Rome. And finally, sweeping in from the east, we've got Pacorus, a Parthian prince with a serious army. All of these different agendas are about to crash into each other in a big way. So, here's the question. What do you do when you just can't win a civil war on your own? Well, if you're Antigonus, you basically make a deal with the devil. He knows he can't get rid of his uncle and the powerful brothers Herod and Phasaelus by himself. So, he makes an absolutely audacious move. He invites the powerful Parthian Empire to come on in and do his dirty work for him.
And the deal they made was, well, it was as simple as it was shocking. Antigonus basically tells the Parthian commanders, hey, I will give you a massive reward if you invade Judea, get rid of my rivals, and put me on the throne. I mean, think about that. This isn't just some political backroom deal. This is treason on an epic scale. He's auctioning off his country's freedom just to wear a crown.
And the price tag for this betrayal? It was staggering. We're talking 1,000 talents of silver. Now, to give you some perspective, that is an almost unimaginable fortune. It's enough cash to fund entire armies, to build cities from scratch. Antigonus wasn't just paying a bribe, he was offering a literal king's ransom to become a king. But the price wasn't just paid in silver. According to Josephus, the deal also included 500 women. And this detail, it's just horrifying. It shows you the true barbarity of this whole arrangement. This wasn't just about political power anymore. It was a transaction where human beings were treated like currency. So, with the deal sealed, the Parthians didn't waste a second. They launched this really clever two-pronged invasion. You had Prince Pacorus leading his army right down the coast, while his general, Barzapharnes, pushed his forces straight through the heartland. Judea was suddenly caught in this deadly pincer movement, with enemies closing in from both sides. That Parthian invasion, well, it was the spark that lit the whole fuse. As these foreign troops started pouring into the country, the conflict just exploded inside the walls of Jerusalem itself, turning the holy city into an absolute war zone. So once Antigonus' supporters saw Parthian soldiers on their soil, they felt totally emboldened. What had just been a simmering rebellion suddenly boiled over into a full-on assault on the capital. They stormed through the streets of Jerusalem, fighting their way all the way up to the very gates of the royal palace. But Herod and his brother Phasaelus, they were not about to go down without a fight. They launched a ferocious counterattack, and the city's busy marketplace became this brutal, bloody battleground. And they were successful. They actually managed to push the rebels all the way back, trapping them inside the sacred grounds of the temple itself. And you know, Josephus does not mince words here. He describes the fighting with this one chilling phrase, slaughters were made continually among them. This tells you it wasn't one single clean fight. This was a relentless, grinding, urban war of ambushes and street fights, day in and day out. And just when you think things couldn't possibly get any worse, the festival of Pentecost begins. So now you have pilgrims flooding into Jerusalem from all over the countryside. But here's the thing, a lot of them didn't just come to worship, they came ready to fight. The city, which was already tearing itself apart, was now just swarming with thousands of armed men. It was like pouring gasoline on an already raging fire. And then, into all this chaos, a figure stuffs forward offering a solution. It sounds like a path to peace, right? A way to finally end all the killing. But as we're about to see, this offer of reconciliation is actually the most dangerous part of this entire story. On the surface, the offer sounded like a godsend. Antigonus suggests that the Parthian commander Pacorus should be allowed into Jerusalem with a small escort of horsemen to mediate a peace deal. For Phasaelus, who was just desperate to stop the bloodshed, it sounded almost too good to be true. And it was. It was all a carefully laid trap. And Pacorus, he played the part of the peacemaker perfectly. He convinces Phasaelus that, hey, to finalize this whole peace treaty, you need to go as an ambassador to the Parthian governor. He promises him this will be the end of the war, but in reality, he was just leading him straight into the lion's den. And this right here, this is the critical moment. This is the turning point of the whole story. It's a moment where trust and suspicion just collide, where two brothers are looking at the exact same situation and seeing two totally different things. The fate of their entire family hangs on this one decision. Herod sees right through it. He sees the plot for exactly what it is, and his advice is brutal. It's direct. Kill Pacorus. Kill him right now. Don't even think about negotiating. And why? Because, in his words, the barbarians are naturally perfidious. He has zero trust in the Parthians and sees this offer of peace as an obvious lie. And this just lays out the difference between these two men perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you have Herod. He's suspicious, he's cynical, and his solution is preemptive violence. He sees a plotter, an enemy. Then you have Phasaelus. He's more hopeful, more inclined to trust people, and he wants to try diplomacy. He sees a potential peacemaker. Two brothers, two totally different worldviews, and one fatal choice. So the final steps are taken. The believable offer is made. The dire warning is given. And then, tragically, that warning is completely ignored. Phasaelus makes his decision. He leaves Jerusalem on his diplomatic mission, and he takes the high priest Hyrcanus with him, escorted by the very man who planned his doom. He is literally walking, step by step, right into the trap. So the trap is sprung. The Parthian Gambit has worked. With its leaders captured and the city in total chaos, the kingdom of Judea is on its knees. It's just a brutal reminder of how quickly power can shift when ambition and betrayal get thrown into the mix. Josephus leaves us right here, at this cliffhanger, forcing us to ask, what really is the ultimate price of power? And what happens when a nation's fate is decided not on a battlefield, but in the shadows of deceit?